Imagine it's the late 90s. You're walking into a Blockbuster on a Friday night, trying to pick out a DVD for the weekend. Back then, this was the go-to place for entertainment. People loved the experience of browsing shelves, picking up their favorite movie, and maybe even snagging some popcorn on the way out. Fast forward to today, and you don't need to leave your couch to have an endless library of content. You've got Netflix, YouTube, Disney+, and a dozen other streaming platforms. Blockbuster, it's a thing of the past. So how did we get here? How did a company that was once the king of the video rental industry lose to a startup sending DVDs by mail? What exactly happened? And more importantly, what lessons can we learn from it?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster Video at Mount Annan hasn't been this busy in years, which is why it's closing down.
Blockbuster will close all of its remaining stores, about 300 of them, and shut down its DVD mailing service by early January.
Blockbuster Video Store on every corner. In recent years, many of them have closed. Well, now some of the remaining Cincinnati Blockbusters are shutting down as well.
Back in 2004, Blockbuster had 9,000 locations, but then Netflix came along and turned the rental industry on its head. Blockbuster, which is now owned by the Dish Network, will live on as a streaming service.
When we talk about the fall of Blockbuster and the rise of Netflix, it's easy to point to technology as the main reason. Sure, new tech played a huge role, but there's more to it. There's a lesson here about adaptability, vision, and business strategy. If you want to understand how Netflix beat Blockbuster, you have to start at the beginning. Blockbuster was founded in 1985 and quickly grew into the largest video rental chain in the world. By the early 2000s, they had over 9,000 stores globally. They had the market cornered, offering not just movies, but an experience. Renting a movie was part of the routine for millions of people. At their peak, Blockbuster was valued at over $5 billion. In 1997, a company called Netflix emerged. They had a radically different idea for how people could rent movies. Instead of driving to a store, Netflix would send the movie straight to your mailbox. Sounds simple, right? At first, they struggled. People were still attached to the Blockbuster experience, but as internet access grew, Netflix pivoted again. They saw the future in streaming. Here's where things get interesting. In the year 2000, Netflix actually approached Blockbuster with a partnership offer. They wanted Blockbuster to buy them out for $50 million and incorporate Netflix's online model into their business. Blockbuster, they laughed Netflix out of the room. To them, this little startup wasn't a threat. Over the next decade, Blockbuster made mistake after mistake. They doubled down on their physical stores, invested heavily in DVD sales, and even tried launching a streaming service, way too late. Meanwhile, Netflix had seen the future. They invested heavily in technology, streaming infrastructure, and later, original content. By the time Blockbuster realized what was happening, it was already too late. What's the lesson here? Adapt or die? Blockbuster's downfall wasn't because Netflix had better movies or even better marketing. It was because Netflix understood where the world was heading. They recognized early on that the future wasn't in renting physical media, but in delivering content in the fastest, most convenient way possible. Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings had a vision. He wasn't just trying to compete with Blockbuster. He was betting on a future where digital content would dominate. He saw how the internet could revolutionize the way we consume media. And when he saw the trend, he went all in. In 2010, Blockbuster declared bankruptcy. They had gone from a $5 billion empire to virtually nothing in a little over a decade. Meanwhile, Netflix was thriving. They had over 20 million subscribers, and they weren't stopping there. Netflix wasn't just about convenience. They understood the importance of content. They didn't just stream shows, they created them. They didn't just disrupt the rental industry, they revolutionized how we consume entertainment. Blockbuster, they never evolved. So, what can we learn from this case study? One thing, vision and adaptability are everything. Blockbuster had the resources to innovate, but they stuck to what they knew. Netflix? They were willing to disrupt themselves. They weren't afraid to invest in the future, even when it meant completely changing their business model. Now, as you sit there scrolling through Netflix, just remember, none of this was by accident. Blockbuster's downfall wasn't inevitable. They had the chance to adapt, and they didn't. Netflix wasn't just lucky. They saw where the world was going and got there first. The future belongs to those who are willing to see and work on it before everyone else does. The question is, will you be Netflix or Blockbuster?